Hello, my name is Jackson Atwood, and today I have the great opportunity to share my testimony with you, as well as why I chose SEU. So without further ado, let's jump right in. My whole life, I grew up in church. I was the church boy, you could say. I was serving in elementary before I was even out of elementary. I was at every service every Sunday, every service every Wednesday. But even though I was in church my whole life, I never really knew Jesus. I had the head knowledge that Jesus died for my sins, that he loved me, that he was with me, but I didn't have that intimate relationship with him. I didn't know him as my best friend. I didn't know him personally. I just had the head knowledge of who he was and what he had done for me. That was until my church went on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic when I was about 16 years old. And in this mission trip, I really encountered God for the first time. Every morning at like 4 a.m., we would get up and go to the prayer tower that they had there. And it was during this time of prayer in the morning that I really truly encountered the love and the person of Jesus for the first time. It's when I fell in love with him. It's where my personal relationship with him truly began. And that started my faith. That started where I went after God with all I had, until sadly about 2 years later, it was when the pandemic hit. I really began to just walk away from my faith. I began to walk away from that Christian lifestyle. Our church had shut down because of COVID, and so I still attended church online somewhat, and there were Zoom calls that happened that I would attend, but I was disconnected. I began to live life my own way. I began to live a life of saying whatever I wanted, doing whatever I wanted, and I didn't talk to God. I was completely disconnected from the Lord. This lifestyle led me to just being completely empty. I was hopeless. I was depressed. I wasn't suicidal, but had I died, I wouldn't have cared. I had no purpose. I was wandering around helpless until I hit absolute rock bottom, and I knew that I had to get out. And thankfully, with my background, I knew the way out was Jesus. So it was one day in my bed, I just cried out to God, and I began to pray and read my Bible, and I said, Lord, if you'll take me back, if you'll forgive me, then I will just begin to follow you and run after you. And in that moment, in that instant, God broke that depression off of me. He wrapped his love around me. He filled me with joy and new, fresh purpose. I just felt strong, but I didn't know what my calling was. I was wanting to go after God with all I had, but I didn't know what that looked like. And that led me to when our church announced that they were going to be an extension site for SEU. When I heard this, I knew immediately that this is what God had for me. I knew that he was calling me to a season of preparation, of building my mind in biblical and world studies so I could know what my calling was and be more prepared for that. So, in conclusion, God is faithful. He is with us even in a time of heartache. He never leaves our side.